What's up, everybody? This is the Fear of Dark. It is the semi-final showdown round. Hollowed Hills here, and this is the second round. It is with Pro and T-Box number 2. And what you'll see here is slight wind in the face. I'm gonna kind of mix it up a little bit, and we're gonna do a little bit of the pay balls, a little bit of the free balls, just a little bit of everything. Now, one of the things that I did want to, briefly talk about here is potentially, there's these new pins in the shop. You'll see some really great offers. There's some backspin, there's some driver types, there's some ball power types. They've been rotating. So with these new, you'll see that you can get your tee shot up a little bit farther. It's just making it easier for you to be able to do shot making over here. So hopefully you guys have seen and have started to take advantage of that. Because it is really designed towards you guys improving your game. And also this whole practice pin concept, you can see I've been using a lot of my cash for that. Highly recommend that you guys do the same. But without much further ado, let's just kind of get off the tee here. And you can see with what I'm doing is I'm just kind of utilizing my backspin, utilizing my side spin. And we're just going to set up here with this extra ball power. It's just going to help me to get off the tee without having to worry about, spin control. You can see. So maybe just a little bit of extra curl just so there's not some extra effect. But this extra ball power, it's just going to make it easier to stay within range for the wedge. So you'll see here, we're down towards the edge of the fairway, and you can try to cheat the fairway just a little bit more, but this is what I was mentioning. Like, it's really going to be pushing the bounds. And this is my 100% power line. I'm just going to kind of default back to this because this is where 100% is going to play. Very close to the pin with where I am, 98%, something like that. Because this is a scaled hive. So somewhere around here is going to be about 98% of my normal scale. Now you can make another new scale if you want. But you might lose a little bit of the accuracy if you were to do that. So what we're going to try to do is just try to kind of switch our spin up so it doesn't go too much out of control here. You can see that's what I'm doing and also keep in mind, you're going to see that I kind of get this ball guide kind of maybe through the hole and to the left. Why? Because what's going to end up happening is the ball guide's going to change and it's going to take a much more straight back alignment after the wind touches it. So I'm kind of anticipating that. So you can see that's what I'm doing with that hooked ball guide. And I'm going to play real close to 100% here. So sorry about that. I got kicked out of my subscription. I kind of live in two states. I live in the free subscription. I live in the paid subscription. But you can see what we did with the setup here. Like I mentioned, we're going to play real close, 99, 100%, somewhere in there. So 9 rings here. So this is more or less what we're going to do. And we're going to try our best to give this a good ring adjustment. 9 rings, like we mentioned. Try to keep it from firing down the hill too much. So as you can see, ball's coming in here, and this is exactly what I'm talking about. So you can see it's not hooking nearly as much to the left, but we gave it a really good run. And this is where that whole practice concept's going to come in. Say you wanted to give that a couple practice goes, you could use that as a reference, or you could use my shot as your reference. So you could say, You can see where my setup was. I used the 99% number, which was, you know, real close to my max span there. And you can see what my ball guide looked. And you can see it just kind of straightened out just a little bit too much. So I need to just start that ball guide just a little bit more left than I did. But a very good opportunity for you guys to get off to a nice eagle start there. So I do highly recommend that you guys try to focus on, you know, doing what you need to do to give that one a very nice run. And we are going to go with the pay ball again here. This is a very aggressive wind type. So a very good opportunity for us to get aggressive here. And I'm just going to switch up my bag. We're going to use the lightning rod here. And here's up where max is. We're just going to use this as kind of a reference. So here's 10 rings for max. Here's 20 rings for max. Here's about 25 rings for max. We're going to just try to utilize, we might use maybe 23 rings for max. You can see I'm crowding the hole with the ball guide intentionally. So this is about 23 rings for max here. Crowded ball guide, like I mentioned. You can see second bounce through the hole. We are going to utilize this practice, like I mentioned. So let's just go ahead and fix this. 23, 24 rings for max. It's saying 8.5 rings. Ball guides through the hole. And like I mentioned, actually our wind might change. So it goes to 3-4 in this case. So make sure that you do change that. So I'll change it to 3-4. And you'll see now it says 8 rings. We're just going to utilize this 8 ring adjustment. And just see what happens to the shot. And this is what the beauty of the practice is it's allowing us to have this, you know, virtually free look. And Josh to the left, but everything else looks pretty good. So we're going to try to just tinker around and just make one little micro adjustment and get this to drop on the second go. And we're going to revert this back to the 3-6 wind, which, as you'll see, it's going to change it to 8-5. So it's going to change back to 8-5. You can also see that this came in just a little bit hot. So I'm just going to kind of put my ball guide just a little bit less through the hole. And maybe right edge. So you can see I'm just making just one little slight adjustment here. And like we mentioned, this is going to be 8-5 now. So we're going to go 8-5 for this wind. And this is going to give us our best chance. You know, the practice really is going to help you fine tune. Get in there and make just slight, ever so slight micro adjustments to hopefully give you guys that confidence and get you guys dropping more and more shots. So just trying to get that positioned exactly where we want it. Let's give this a go. Here you can see it's coming in very, very nice. Oh, so just very, very similar result. I put it kind of right edge. If I would have just kind of tilted that ball guide just a little bit more at the very beginning. Or, you know, another thing that I could do is try to, so since you could see it was breaking just a touch, we could try to just counter it with a little bit of side spin. But very good opportunity there to get that drop. So just want to show you guys, you know, utilize that practice. Take advantage of those opportunities, and you won't regret it. You'll really give yourself a good opportunity to, really lower your score. Keep in mind, this is only a semifinal round. So I'm going to, try to do what I can. And here you can see we're putting on a driver wood pin. So very interesting pin, right? What this is going to do is it's going to allow us to extend the target. We're going to be able to get up and put the ball where we wouldn't have been able to otherwise. And also you can see we have 100 side spin as well. So this is a perfect example of just being able to get the ball up here. 100% guide. So this is showing everything. So this is one of the beauties of using Holy Driver. Sorry, I got kicked out of my subscription again. So just bear with me. Like I mentioned, a little bit weird state that I live in. So that'll happen from time to time. Sometimes it never happens. So it's just kind of random in nature. But we use the driver wood pin. So with that in mind, we're going to over adjust. I usually go about maybe 25% more. So if you see something like this, that's like what? 4.7. And why are we doing this? Because we changed our accuracy. That's the biggest reason. So we'll do an over adjust here. Just going to hope to help us restore that distance, restore that accuracy amount. So we're going enough. And let's just see how this works out. All things considered, so far so good. That might have been just a little bit light on the adjustment still. So maybe still needed to go just a little bit more there. And you can see this is actually keeping us a little bit shorter as a result. And here's where lightning rod is. I wanted to get that lightning rod up there. So just a little bit miscalculation there. Because we have this driver wood pin on, this shot is going to play a little bit more than it would. But this is a good time for me to kind of map this out. I think there's a good way to tell. So, for instance, I think, I have fixed data for this. That's saying 4 rings. It's usually 4 rings. It's expanding to a lot more. Let's see what it expanded to. This is it's kind of a way to get in the ballpark. So that's like double. That's double there. Is that 15 rings, 17 rings? So we're kind of mid-ish club here. And we're just going to go a little bit extra on the ring adjustment because we're changing accuracy. When we have driver wood pin on, that's why I was trying to get this drive just a little bit longer than this. We'll try to tinker around with that in the final round, the scoring round, try to get this drive a little bit better. Keep in mind that I under adjusted. So even at 25% extra, that's where we were light. So 25% not going to be enough. We're going to go, I'm thinking at least 3 rings here for a 3-6. You can see how I have my ball guide set up. So let's just try 3 rings in this situation. Be just a hair more than 3. And that looks pretty good. So, maybe 3.2 rings for a 3.6. It's almost starting to play wind rings. So you can see when you have that driver wood pin on, well, the first thing, we kept our tiebreaker high, which is good. But we need to start honing in on what that adjustment is when we have that wood pin equipped. And this is kind of the first time that I'm seeing these pins in action, especially the driver wood. So with that in mind, it's changing our accuracy. We have to, start to hone in on those values. And that's what we're going to start doing in these up and coming tournaments. So there you can see it dropped off my, dropped off that pin there. This wind specifically is going to be a really tricky one. So with that in mind, I think we're going to try to land maybe right around, try to find a nice, real nice spot here. Somewhere right in here maybe. With this tailwind, I'm definitely going to try to get this up here kind of as far as possible. So let me just jump back in here. We'll do 3-9. Saying about 4 rings. Just a little bit extra for power. Now what you'll want to do is, try to stay in spectra range here, because this second approach shot is going to be a tailwind. So with the tailwind, you'll want as much backspin as possible. That's what I'm trying to do here, is just kind of make sure that I stay in this club range, which we did. That's 10 rings for max. Here's 20 rings for max. 23 rings for max. Maybe 22, 21 rings for max, something like that. That's right around half club. 21 rings for max. 3.5 rings, it's saying. And you can see I'm keeping that ball guide short. It should stretch out in this tailwind. So you got to keep that ball guide short. What's going to end up happening is it's going to stretch out. And let's just see how this one looks. As you can see, it's coming in very nice. It looks like we're able to get the drop. So you can see I kept it just a little bit short of the hole, and it just kind of stretched out. We went the ring adjustment. We're able to get the eagle. So that's our first drop there. Anything that you add in is going to be a nice bonus. And this one specifically, another real tricky shot here. So, and I've been using right around 4-5 side spin to kind of, and you can see what the guide looks like. What we're doing is we're just trying to straighten out that guide. So when this shot comes in, it doesn't shoot down that slope too much. And if you guys have these pins, this is a nice opportunity, for example, to pull out 2% ball power. And you can see it's going to put this ball guide much more onto the hole. So that's like 5 and 8 on the spin. And we kind of putting it right on those lines. So 5 and 8. And let's just give that a go, see what it looks like. 4.0 for my normal shot, and this is right at the max line, of course. So it's saying 474. But now let's go practice. So 474, that's going to be like our live adjustment. This is going to be 4.5. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of do this straight up, and you can see what my alignment looks like. We're just going to do 4.5. And that's what the beauty of this whole practice concept is to be able to take advantage hit this shot. Just trying to get it right where we want, just to make sure. That looks like right around 4.5, just a little bit more. And like I mentioned, you know, we're utilizing this as essentially a reference. Oh, so just short. I mean, but what did we learn from that? I mean, that's perfect. I mean, it almost went in. So everything that we did there is exactly what we want. So we're going to do the same thing, and we're just going to do it again. And remember, we already said the adjustment's 474, so I already know what it is for the live. So that's one of the beauties. So even though I got kicked out, I'm just going to use 474 as the number. And you can see what is 474. It's something like this, give or take. And we were doing 5 and 8. So if I come in just a tad on that 8 backspin, for example, so that's like 5.5. It's like a half less. So right around a half less. I'm just going to try to fire this down. Right on line with the hole. Like we mentioned, 474. Because the wind's a little bit different this time. Of course, we're taking a risk with this shot, because if we miss it, it is going to try to shoot down this hill. But we're only in a qualifier anyway, so I don't need my tiebreaker to stay. And we're trying to get this right in between these tick marks, which is about there. You just play around with this a little bit. Just try this. So hopefully, tinkering around, we're able to get the drop, and sure enough, there it is. So just like that, one little tweak, and we're able to get the hole-in-one. That's the beauty of the practice. So hopefully you guys are using that to your advantage. You're going to be able to hone in on these so much more. Every time we use practice, we expect to make that second adjustment. Now, one of the things that I recommend for this hole will be another driver wood pin again. Very nice pin. And you can see what happens. It lets me pull the target up to here. And what's so great about this holy driver is it just kind of shows us the guide. Shows us the shot view and everything. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to land like this. Maybe with some curl. And like we mentioned, so since last time we didn't go enough rings, we're going to go a little bit more this time. So if I was to go back to the driver, 3/8, I think we did this. Just 5 rings. We're going to go beyond that. We go more 8-ish rings. Something like that. It's like double wind plus curl. And let's just see what this looks like. Sure enough, that looks pretty good. Let's see if it holds the fairway. Looks like it's going to. So about double wind is a nice indicator. And look how far we were able to get this down here. So we really blasted this. Being able to get to spectra range is huge. This is huge. Because when you get down here, what's going to happen? You're going to be able to get much more aggressive on this shot. So this might even be just a little bit too far of a drive, really. Because you want to stay a little bit more towards max. It's about 19 rings for max. If you stay at max, what you'll see is you'll be able to backspin this just a little bit more. So the extra backspin will make this more holeable for you. But I'm going to just try to land this kind of right towards the front here and just hope this checks enough. And this is what, 20 rings for max right here? Now keep in mind, since we use the driver wood pin, this club becomes unaffected. So there's no difference. And this is saying right around 3.9 rings. So we're just going to put this ball guide right on the hole just like this. And we're just going to go 3.9 wind rings. So let's see what this comes in like. And like I mentioned, you know, just staying a little bit more towards max club. Going to make it that much easier. But you can see very high tiebreaker there. So we're able to get very, very close with that shot. And just maybe just a fraction uphill on that shot, which is going to launch the ball higher in the air. So we should have just gone just a little bit extra on the adjustment, and it would have probably been perfect there. So do keep that in mind. But you can see what we're able to do with this Holy Driver is really get aggressive on all these holes. And there you can see pins off. I think this is a good hole to start thinking about, you know, Bigfoot, for example. So when we're thinking about Bigfoot, you can see where I have the red line. We need to keep this drive essentially where the red line is. From my max view, which looks right around here. So as long as we stay here, and we're just going to go pretty much just straight up 4 rings or so. Just a bit of curl just to make sure that we do bend around that tree. And we're just going for positioning here. The Bigfoot is going to hopefully keep it from firing down this hill. So that's the reason why we would utilize and try to take advantage and get it to this distance, would be to keep it from firing down this hill. So we can get aggressive here. And there you can see is the max line. This is 3 rings for max. Usually I'll do a little bit of side spin on this one. So let's go maybe 2 bars. And like I mentioned, this is what, 3 for max. That's not quite tight enough on the ball guide. And you can also see what my alignment is. I'm like 0.9 rings from the pin. And you'll take advantage of this concept because you can just make slight tweaks. If I'm 0.9 rings from it, you can just change it just a little bit. And like I said, this is 2-3 rings for max. So we're just going to kind of pull this down just a little bit. It's saying 375. So 375 here. It's right around there. And just a little bit too much on the ring adjustment. You can also see that we pulled down to kind of lower ground, so it kind of landed a little bit short on us as well. So you might want to crowd the ball guide just on the hole just a little bit more for that, but you're going to have a very nice look at being able to get that one. And especially with like one practice attempt, you could really hone in and just try to isolate. That's what we're going to do on the final round. We're going to get very aggressive on our final rounds. So do keep that in mind. This is another hole that you definitely want to utilize a special ball for. With this wind angle, it's going to be very close to the max line. So with that in mind, you know, being towards the max line, we want to keep this within the club span. And this is saying right around 3-7 rings. Maybe this is a good time for just in case, maybe a ball power, 1%. What this will hopefully do is expand my wedge range just in case I get to the limit, for example. And I'm trying to, you know, not get too aggressive to where I run in. But basically what we're doing is we know that we're going to be up here towards max club. And this is just giving me just a little bit more breathing room. 1-2%. Plus you can try to get your tee shot. You know, if you want to get your tee shot just a little bit more aggressive than mine, feel free to do so as well. What I'll do on shots like this is I'll play the ball guide through the hole. And this is a perfect example. You can see I'm just kind of playing the ball guide through the hole because I know it's going to collapse down. So we're going to go, instead of topspin model, I'm going to kind of split the difference. So if topspin's saying 11.5, you know, we're going to go about 9 rings here for our ring adjustment. And it's because we're kind of slightly top spinning, but we don't have a lot of wind effect. So you kind of need to go just a little bit more because these ring adjustments, they assume full backspin. So when you're not using full backspin, you kind of got to go a little bit more. Or you'll have to play, you know, side spin, stuff like that. But here you can see, you know, it's doing exactly what I mentioned. It's just kind of slowing. You can see the ball guide collapsed, like it shrunk down. It went from well through the hole, almost off the back of the green, to pin high. And it's just a feel thing. It's just going to take some time for you guys to learn enough about the game to realize that and to be able to, you know, do that for your own. And one of the things that I recommend for this one is going full aggressive. You know, we did this last round, and I think this is also a nice time to do it. You can either go, you know, ball power or driver wood again, for example. And we just want to, you know, land this up onto the fairway here. So that's the goal, is just get it to the front of the fairway. And that's where we're utilizing that pin. This hole just becomes so much easier once you get this up onto this. Oh no, I should have used the driver. So and man, I feel really bad. But since it's only an opener, no big deal. But you know, make sure you're using a driver wood there. What ends up happening is, you know, when you extend into overpower, especially kind of here, it just ends up short landing on you. And you can see that's exactly what happened to me. So now I'm going to have to scramble because I didn't bring the right gear. So what we're going to do is we're going to try to play it off this bridge now. You know, I'm basically just trying to purposefully land it off this bridge, maybe with some curl. Because it's really our only chance. So as you can see, I hit it, but with that curl that I put on it, I should have just aimed it just a little bit better. I wanted to get in the rough instead of the sand. But with that being said, no worries. We can still make this sand shot. Going to be a very small adjustment here. You can see a nice tailwind as well. I'm just thinking something along the lines of this. Maybe keep it right edge, for example. That's exactly what I'm doing here, just a little bit short of the hole. Ah, did it play? Yep. So we hit a great shot, cost ourselves that eagle potential. Ah, very frustrating. So, you know, take advantage and capitalize on my mistake. Like I mentioned, though, on the final round, we're going to make sure we don't do something like that. So we're going to play this, you know, a lot more cautious. Maybe use a practice, for example. This is where that concept really comes into play. Keep in mind, this is just a semi. All we need to do is finish top 50. So since you only need to finish top 50, you know, you don't have to put your best foot forward. You can see, let's just kind of take a look and see where guys are finishing. 25, if we can get to 25, 26, 27, you know, we're putting ourselves in a chance to, you know, maybe potentially win on the weekend. But in terms of qualifying, we're going to be able to qualify down here on much lower scores. So you don't have to get overly aggressive on your semifinal rounds, so keep all that in mind. But one of the things that it does do is it just kind of prepares you mentally for these rounds. So best of luck out there. I will be getting this back nine content up as well, so feel free to check that out. The goal is to make sure that you guys get through and get into the scoring rounds. If you guys haven't seen the rewards for these, they're very elevated. They're designed for success. So hopefully you guys are getting through, getting to those final scores, and able to put forth that effort, and it pays off in the end. My goal is to kind of get you guys aligned, get you doing shooting as low as possible, and giving yourself that chance to you know, take down those top rewards. So best of luck out there. Take care. I'll see you guys next time.